Well, Aaron, the way I look at this is that everyone is looking for a kind of sweet spot, a balance between saving lives and saving livelihoods, because if you crush the economy, you're also going to kill people in the long run. Everyone's looking for that sweet spot. There are three different approaches out there. Sweden's approach was keep a lot of the economy open, as your report suggested. Let the vast majority of the population who are under 60, don't have pre-existing conditions, who, if they meet the coronavirus, will be either asymptomatic or not require hospitalization. And in theory, that was their theory, protect the elderly. They did not protect the elderly well enough. But the result of this is that they are now about 25–30% toward herd immunity. That is the goal. You only get herd immunity to a disease of one of two ways: through through a vaccine, or by exposure to it and developing the antibodies. So when your report says that they lost more people, that is true today. In the long run, you got this experiment is still to be judged. You really got to look out 6 months and a year where they compare to their neighbors. Second model is China. China's model was suppress it, break the chains of transmission, and then do really authoritarian tracking, tracing, sequestering, using all the powers they have and no civil liberties. And they've managed to keep it down, but they have not developed the herd immunity. They're waiting for a vaccine. The third model is America. It's Florida, it's Georgia, it's California, it's New York. It's everyone for themselves, some open, some closed. And that is very worrying because, this virus, as Dr. David Katz observed, if you don't respect it, it will kill you or someone you love. And you can be tired, but it's not tired. And you can feel like going out, but it will be out there. And until we have herd immunity, either through a vaccine or exposure, you're taking a chance.
And okay, so to that, this is what are Americans going to do now? And researchers at the University of Maryland have been using smartphone data from more than 100 million people to track how well they're complying with stay-at-home guidelines. So they say there was a record number of people staying home on Easter Sunday. 2 days later, that number started to drop, and it has continued to drop since then, consistently across the country. How long can you realistically keep Americans on lockdown? I mean, that is the pressure, the kind of tide building that these governors are feeling.
Well, again, I really go back here, and you have to have a sustainable strategy. So Sweden's sustainable strategy was really build herd immunity.
Yeah.
China's sustainable strategy is track, trace, quarantine. What is our sustainable national strategy? We have federal guidelines that everyone's ignoring. We have different states operating differently, and then we have individuals all basically operating on their own timelines. That is a prescription for this virus to come back. Because you could be watching the market today and feel like, wow, things must be getting better. But let me tell you something. This virus does not open its day at 9:30. It does not close at 4. It does not take Saturday and Sunday off. It is out there. And unless you have a sustainable strategy to suppress, track, and trace, or to build herd immunity until there's a vaccine, or to build herd immunity, you don't have a strategy. And I think we're going to, by default, end up with herd immunity, but in a very messy, dangerous way.
So, I've been speaking to Dr. John Ioannidis, one of the leading voices in epidemiology, and of course you know him too. And he says we need more data to keep the U.S. under lockdown. That's the argument he's been making, is saying that we just don't know what the death rate is because we don't know how many people have it. He added to the Wall Street Journal over the weekend, Tom, quote, "There's some sort of mob mentality here operating, that they just insist that this has to be the end of the world, and it has to be that the sky is falling." What do you say to that, which I think does encapsulate, to your point, how plenty of individuals in this country feel if we judge by their actions?
Well, I think that's for every individual to decide. I'm one of the people who very early on, as you'll recall, felt that we did have to have a sustainable strategy to save lives and livelihoods. And there is a danger, and the media, we've all helped hype this. When you get, one person here or one 20-year-old there, it's all in the news. The fact is, Aaron, the vast majority of people who encounter this disease encounter it either asymptomatically or with a tough or a soft flu, and they recover. Okay, they don't die. And we need to have a strategy that says we're going to protect the most vulnerable, the elderly, and those with other vulnerabilities, and then basically risk stratify, feed them into the workplace those who are most likely to either encounter it easily or asymptomatically and get back to work. But my point is, you have to have a strategy. The virus does not know the border between Florida and Georgia, okay?
Right.
And we have no
Right.
national strategy.
All right, Tom, thank you. I always appreciate talking to you.
My pleasure.